I'm Edward Dangerfield of Alta Bistro. My friend Eric Griffith and I decided to open a small restaurant here in Whistler with the view of sustainability in mind. And the reason for that is in our private lives, in our homes, we were recycling and we were choosing ethical food sources. And then we'd go to work and we'd see ourselves surrounded by waste. We'd see no composting, we'd see no recycling, and we'd see basically people being served food that we weren't happy to eat ourselves. So we decided to bridge this gap between our home and work and break out on our own and open this small 43-seat bistro with a view of it being locally run, as sustainable as possible, and sourcing food locally from BC, showcasing what this wonderful province has to offer. So when it came to designing and building the restaurant, we chose either reused material or material that was in some way more sustainable. For our tabletops here, we sourced a 500-year-old ponderosa pine tree that had been infected with beetle kill. It's nice and decorative, and at the same time it's reusing a material that couldn't be used for anything else. We went to Merritt and brought the wood back here and then milled it on site and biscuit jointed into these tables. For table bases, we got onto Craigslist and found that there was a selection of old table bases. We picked these up quite reasonably and then just resprayed and refinished them ourselves. Similarly, our chairs are also reused. They came from Bob Dawson. They've had a good life at the Rimrock already, and they were sitting in his storage. So I refinished the chairs and we reupholstered them. When it comes to cleaning the restaurant, we like to use chemicals that are less persistent to the environment. And for paper, we like to choose more recyclable paper. For candles, we use battery rechargeable candles. So these are using hydroelectric power instead of non-renewable oil and gas. They also have zero waste. Instead of a plastic or metal container, they are just recharged every night using clean hydroelectric power. For our linen supplier, we chose a supplier that used more natural detergents and less synthetic chemicals in the whole process. So when thinking about the bar, we designed as many aspects as we could with sustainability in mind. Our ice machine is air-cooled instead of water-cooled, so it doesn't use clean, fresh drinking water to make the ice, it uses air. It's a little bit more expensive as a system, and it does create some heat in the restaurant, but in winter that heat's quite useful. And again, just limiting the amount of fresh drinking water we use. Continuing with the theme of water, for our water system we've used a system called Vivero. It's right here on the bar, you can see it. It has a still and a sparkling water. What that does, it takes Whistler water, which is already very good quality, it further purifies it, and I can either keep it still or carbonate it. We reuse the bottles here and we rinse them on the bar. They don't leave the restaurant, so the transportation and the increased carbon footprint is minimal. And from a recycling standpoint, there's nothing to actually recycle. For beer, we chose Stanley Park Brewing for our draft beer. These guys have a wind turbine that powers a lot of the facility down in Delta in Vancouver. And they also have huge water-saving initiatives. They use about half as much water as any other brewery in Canada to make their beer. For our wine, we chose all sustainable producers. So this is Chapoutier from France. It's a biodynamic producer and also sustainably farming. For liquor, we chose Canadian producers wherever possible. Iceberg is featured on our well as our well vodka. They also produce our gin. And we use Shram as a local supplier for vodka as well. For tea, we went with Namaste. They're based here in Whistler. They're a local family. It's great to be supporting them. And next summer, they're growing a lot of their herbs up in Pemberton. And for coffee, we use Milano Roasters in Vancouver. Both tea and coffee are fair trade and organic. For the concept of work here, we start with a very small seasonal menu. And what we try and do is source all of our food locally. So all of our meat comes from BC, it's all hormone and antibiotic free, and our fish is all ocean-wise. For vegetables, we choose mostly root vegetables. They're in season right now in winter. and it's really difficult being able to source everything locally. So you have to make some allowances. You know, you're not going to be a saint. So we source right now our salad from California, and the stipulation is that it is still organic. When it comes to cooking, we don't use any gas. As a non-renewable resource, we decided to go with electric induction. These burners are a little bit more expensive than a gas range, but they're unbelievably efficient. And for the first 3 days, the guys were burning everything until they realized that they actually work really well. Just a small induction oven here as well, and this actually makes up the tiny kitchen here. In the spring and the fall, we've got plans to do a lot of preserving. Right now, the guys work with some pears, beans, chutney, and preserved lemons. This is a way for us to keep going through the winter months with food that was available in the spring, summer, and fall. And it also enables us to keep our kitchen team employed. Instead of some restaurants' habits of laying off staff in the spring and in the fall, for us to be fully sustainable, we want to try and keep our people employed year-round. So what we do is we keep them working in the fall, canning, and then we're able to sell those products in the winter and make back that money we've invested in them during that slow time. Some people think that having a sustainable attitude and trying to be more sustainable will actually cost you more, but there's quite a few initiatives that we've found, having started up, that will actually make you more money. One example is the Vivro water system that I talked about. Instead of buying European water such as Pellegrino or Evian, we're using local Whistler water. But what we can do is we can charge slightly less for it and still make more money due to the cost of the system. Another simple thing is composting. Composting is actually cheaper than refuse, and so you'll save money for your business in the long run there. Using seasonal products are cheaper than using products that are out of season. Shipping tomatoes from Mexico will always cost you more than getting them from the Okanagan in the summer. Our cleaning products cost us less overall than synthetic chemical products. And choices over sustainable producers for our wine list and for our beer program don't cost us anything. We just make a choice to be more sustainable. The products are generally better quality, and there's no additional cost. So I think, in some cases, being sustainable may cost you a small amount extra, that's on your conscience, but in a lot of cases, it will cost you less, therefore making you more money, helping your bottom line.